We all have some fear when we visit hospitals for any reason. Some fear needles and injections, some are scared of surgeries, and some are afraid of the hospital morgue. This fear can be due to various reasons. Obviously, when we go to the hospital, there is a sense of fear. However, in today's time, medical technology has advanced significantly, and many major cases are resolved quite easily. But doctors were not always so smart. In the past, doctors performed some bizarre procedures, carried out bizarre surgeries, and used bizarre techniques that will shock you when you hear about them. In this video, I am going to tell you about some such bizarre medical procedures that are illegal and banned today because they were so insane. But in the past, these medical procedures were used extensively, and doctors used them not to cure but to somewhere torture their patients. Trepanation. In the past, when someone was believed to be possessed by an evil spirit, they were taken for exorcism. I hope you know about possession and exorcism. So, when exorcism didn't work, the patient was taken to a doctor. Mental health was not taken seriously back then, and doctors used whatever methods they had to try to cure a possessed person. One such method was called trepanation. It was believed that the evil spirit resided somewhere in the person's brain. Now, the question was how to get the evil spirit out of the brain. The answer found by doctors was trepanation. Trepanation was a practice that began in ancient Egyptian times, and it involved drilling a hole into the patient's skull. Yes, you heard it right. A hole was drilled into the skull of the possessed person, and the astonishing part is that the patient was conscious because there was no anesthesia at that time. Trepanation is still performed today, but with advanced technology it is done as a proper surgical procedure. However, back then, there were no proper tools or guidance on how to perform this procedure. The tools were manual, and I will show you these tools. These tools were used manually to drill a hole in the patient's skull, and it was done by turning the tool manually to penetrate the skull slowly, creating a hole. Today, the cavity created during trepanation is much smaller, and surgeries are performed through it. But in the past, the tools were large, and the hole in the skull was quite big. Doctors believed that the evil spirit would escape through this hole, and the patient was kept conscious during the entire procedure. Xenotransplantation. In the 19th century, there was a person named Charles Brown who was fascinated with xenotransplantation. Due to his fascination, he injected himself with extracts from dog and guinea pig testicles. Charles Brown extracted something from the testicles of a dog and a guinea pig and injected it into himself to see the results. However, this did not yield any results and led to a painful and gruesome death as he became mentally unstable after the experiment. Around the same time, there was another person named Warrenoff who was also fascinated with xenotransplantation. Warrenoff came up with a concept that will blow your mind. Warrenoff's concept suggested that the aging process in males is linked to the performance of their testicles. As men age, the performance of their testicles declines significantly. To reverse aging and improve men's lives, he proposed replacing human testicles with those of a monkey. Warrenoff performed this procedure on many elderly people. Although there was no solid evidence to support the success of this concept, Warrenoff also conducted surgeries on females, swapping organs between female monkeys and human females. He believed that since humans evolved from monkeys and apes, this could work. Eventually, many doctors and scientists discarded this theory, deeming it insanity. However, the concept of reverse aging was so fascinating that people secretly underwent xenotransplantation. Many athletes and elderly people had this surgery done by Warrenoff, but the results were never disclosed because the study was funded by very rich old men who wanted the surgery for themselves. Lobotomy. This procedure became very popular between 1940 to 1950. The front part of our brain, known as the prefrontal cortex, helps in decision-making and is responsible for our personality, how we make decisions, how we behave, our morals, and everything. During the time when lobotomy was very popular, there wasn't much concept of mental health. People who were mentally unstable or had undiagnosed mental problems underwent lobotomy. because there was not much discovery in the medical field at that time. Lobotomy was also known as eye pick lobotomy. Let me explain the procedure to you and you will understand why it was called eye pick lobotomy. In the 1940 to 1950s, if a patient was mentally unstable for whatever reason, they were seated in a chair without anesthesia. An ice pick was used, inserted through the upper part of the eyeball, penetrating the brain and the prefrontal cortex. The procedure involved multiple penetrations with the ice pick to cut the prefrontal cortex from the rest of the brain. Imagine someone poking your brain through your eye cavity with an ice pick. I will show you the results before and after this procedure. You can see for yourself why people trusted this procedure so much. The facial structure and behavior of the patients changed, leading people to believe it worked. Lobotomy became so popular that even young children as young as 4 years old underwent this procedure. Remarkably, it took only 5 to 6 minutes to perform this non-complex surgery. After the procedure, the patient could go straight home. Lobotomy became so popular that one doctor, Walter Freeman, performed 2,000 lobotomies. Waterboarding. Waterboarding was a procedure for mentally ill people. It's unclear which doctor came up with this concept, but at that time doctors believed that shock was the only cure for mental illness. In waterboarding, the patient was seated with a bucket or tub of water placed in front of them. Without warning, the patient's head was submerged in the water until they became unconscious. Once unconscious, the patient was pulled out of the water and revived. This process was repeated multiple times, often resulting in the patient's death. Another aspect of waterboarding involved flooding the patient's body with water through a pipe inserted into their throat. The belief was that filling the body with water and then expelling it would remove any internal problems or infections. This procedure caused excruciating pain and a high mortality rate as most patients did not survive. So guys, I hope you found this video informative. Thank God such procedures are no longer practiced. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel for more such useful videos.